They don't care nothing about me. All they want is my voice.
What if I told you these actors became completely unrecognizable for their roles? From Eddie Murphy playing an entire family to Jamie Foxx gluing his eyes shut to become Ray Charles. These 25 black actors went through insane transformations that'll leave you shocked. 1. Eddie Murphy.
Look at my cheekbones! I have cheekbones! Look at my cheekbones! Yes! Look at my chest! Look at my breasts! Oh, I don't have breasts! I'm an A-cup! I don't even need a bra anymore!
Eddie Murphy didn't just play one character in The Nutty Professor, he played a whole family. In this comedy, he became Sherman Klump, an extremely overweight and kind-hearted science professor. But that wasn't all. Eddie also played Sherman's mom, dad, brother, and even his grandmother. He had to sit in the makeup chair for hours while they put on layers of prosthetics, fat suits, wigs, and face molds to turn him into these hilarious characters. What's crazy is that during the family dinner scenes, Eddie was basically talking to himself the entire time. But you would never guess that, because every character looked and sounded so different. His transformation into the 400-pound Sherman Klump was so realistic that it didn't feel like makeup. It felt like an actual person. The way he changed his voice, his posture, and even his tiny facial expressions made each character unique. This role was not just funny, but also super impressive because of how Eddie used his body and face to bring multiple people to life. It wasn't just about wearing a fat suit, he actually acted through it. His ability to switch between different personalities in the same scene showed just how talented he is. The transformation was so intense that many people didn't even realize Eddie was playing the entire Klump family until the credits rolled. 2. Jamie Foxx.
Well, I guess if you say so, I'll have to pack my things and go.
That's right, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back, no.
Jamie Foxx did something amazing when he played Ray Charles in the movie Ray. He didn't just act like Ray Charles, he became him. Jamie had prosthetic eyelids glued shut for hours to make himself look blind, just like Ray. Imagine not being able to see while acting in a whole movie. He had to learn how to move around sets without bumping into things, which is super hard when you can't use your eyes. But it wasn't just about looking like Ray Charles. Jamie practiced Ray's voice, the way he talked, laughed, and even the way he sat at the piano. He learned to copy Ray's special way of moving his head and shoulders when he played music. He even wore the exact same kinds of suits and sunglasses that Ray Charles used to wear. One of the coolest things is that Jamie Foxx actually knew how to play the piano before doing this role. But for this movie, he had to master Ray's unique style of playing. This wasn't just a normal acting role, it was a full-body transformation. He lost weight, worked on small facial tics, and even listened to recordings of Ray Charles all day to stay in character. His hard work paid off because people who watched the movie felt like they were watching the real Ray Charles, not an actor. The movie became a huge hit, and Jamie's performance was so powerful that he won an Oscar for Best Actor. 3. Michael B. Jordan.
You miss a meal? Nah. Which one of your killers in here next? You pick them. You pick who's next.
When Michael B. Jordan took on the role of Adonis Creed in Creed, he didn't just act like a boxer, he turned himself into one. Michael went through a crazy workout routine and diet to build a body that looked like a real professional fighter. He trained with real boxers, did intense cardio, and lifted heavy weights every day. By the time they started filming, his body was totally ripped, with six-pack abs and bulging muscles. But his transformation wasn't just about getting big muscles. Michael had to move like a boxer, punch like a boxer, and even breathe like a boxer. He did most of his own fight scenes, which meant he had to take real punches and perform in long, tiring boxing matches in front of the camera. He studied the way boxers think during fights, how they keep their guard up, and how they stay calm under pressure. Michael's acting also changed for this role. Adonis Creed is a character who struggles with anger and the pressure of living up to his father's legacy. Michael had to show all of that emotion while staying in control during brutal fight scenes. The emotional transformation was just as important as the physical one. 4. Chadwick Boseman.
We must find a way to look after one another as if we were one single tribe.
Chadwick Boseman gave one of his best performances when he played baseball legend Jackie Robinson in 42. Now, Jackie Robinson wasn't just any player. He was the first black man to play Major League Baseball in a time when racism was really bad. So Chadwick had to make sure he got every small detail right. First, Chadwick slimmed down a lot. Jackie Robinson was very lean and athletic, not bulky. Chadwick had to lose weight to match that build. He trained in real baseball fields, working with coaches to get Jackie's batting stance, base running, and sliding techniques perfect. Jackie had a very unique way of moving on the field. He was quick and smooth, and Chadwick had to copy all of that. But it wasn't just about the sports. Chadwick had to show the emotional side too. Jackie went through so much racism, insults, and threats, yet he had to stay calm and not fight back. Chadwick had to show that inner struggle, the quiet strength and dignity Jackie had. His face, his eyes, even the way he held his breath during those tense scenes showed how much pressure Jackie felt. People were blown away by how real Chadwick's performance felt. He didn't just play Jackie Robinson, he became him. You could feel the weight of history in every scene. This role made people see Chadwick not just as an actor, but as someone who could bring real heroes to life. 5. Viola Davis.
But they want to call me Mother of Blues, that's all right with me. It don't hurt none.
Viola Davis went through a wild transformation to play blues legend Ma Rainey in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Normally, Viola is super elegant and classy, but for this movie, she had to become loud, sweaty, and rough. First, she gained weight because Ma Rainey was a bigger woman who owned every room she walked into. She also wore fake gold teeth that made her smile look bold and in your face. On top of that, the makeup team made her skin look shiny and sweaty, like she had just walked off a hot stage. Her costumes were heavy, with layers of old-fashioned dresses, fur coats, and flashy hats. Viola didn't just change her look. She changed the way she moved, stood, and even the way she talked. Ma Rainey had a deep, growly voice and was very bossy. Viola had to get that attitude right. You could feel her power in every scene, whether she was singing or arguing with the band. She made Ma Rainey look like a queen who didn't take nonsense from anyone. Viola's transformation was so real that many people forgot they were watching her. She disappeared into the role, becoming Ma Rainey completely. 6. Lupita Nyong'o.
Don't burn our house down.
Lupita Nyong'o had one of the craziest transformations in the horror movie Us. She didn't just play one role, she played two completely opposite characters. On one hand, she was Adelaide, a regular mom trying to protect her family. On the other hand, she was Red, a terrifying doppelganger who wanted to kill her. What's wild is that Lupita made both characters feel like totally different people. For Adelaide, she was soft-spoken, loving, and normal. But for Red, she changed everything. Her voice became raspy and slow, like she had trouble breathing. She even moved her body in creepy, stiff ways, almost like a puppet. The scariest part was Red's voice. Lupita practiced making her voice sound broken and hollow, which made her scenes super unsettling. She said in interviews that it was really hard to keep up that voice without hurting her throat, but she did it because it made Red feel so eerie. Her facial expressions were also completely different for each character. As Adelaide, her eyes were warm and kind, but as Red, her stare was cold and empty. She didn't rely on makeup or special effects to create the difference. She used her body, her voice, and her face to transform herself. 7. Forrest Whitaker.
I want to promise you, this will be a government of action, not of words.
Forrest Whitaker became a completely different person when he played Ugandan dictator Idi Amin in The Last King of Scotland. This wasn't just about acting mean or shouting orders. Forrest had to transform himself into one of history's most feared and complex leaders. First, he gained weight to match Amon's big and powerful body. Amon wasn't just a political figure, he was known for being larger than life, both physically and personality-wise. Forrest also had to master Amon's heavy Ugandan accent, which wasn't easy. He spent months listening to tapes, working with language coaches, and practicing the way Amon spoke, laughed, and even breathed. He wanted to sound exactly like him, not like an actor trying to fake it. But the scariest part was how Forrest used his body language. Amon could be charming one minute and terrifying the next. Forrest had to switch between being friendly, joking, and suddenly turning into a violent, angry man. He nailed those mood swings so well that people watching felt like they were meeting the real Idi Amin. 8. Halle Berry. In Monsters Ball, Halle Berry did something most people never expected from her. She dropped her glamorous image and played a struggling single mother, living a very tough life. Usually, we see Halle in fancy clothes, looking perfect, but for this movie, she wore almost no makeup, simple clothes, and looked completely exhausted. Halle's character, Letitia, is a woman who's been through a lot of pain. Her life is full of sadness, anger, and frustration. Halle had to show all of those emotions without making it feel like acting. Her expressions, her broken voice, and even the way she slouched her shoulders made it feel real. One of the most talked about scenes is where Letitia breaks down in front of a man who later becomes her lover. That scene was raw, messy, and heartbreaking. Halle didn't hold back. She showed Letitia's pain in a way that made you feel uncomfortable but couldn't look away. This role was a huge risk for Halle because it was so different from her usual roles. But it paid off because people saw her as a serious actress who could handle deep emotional characters. She even won an Oscar for this role, proving that she was more than just a pretty face. But if you thought Halle Berry's transformation was shocking, wait till you see what this next actor did to become a sassy, no-nonsense grandma. He literally became a whole different person. 9. Tyler Perry.
Hello there, Vanity Fair. I'm Medea. Now, don't go pretend that you don't know me or you ain't heard of me. You know who the hell I am.
Tyler Perry's transformation into Medea is one of the funniest and most impressive in movie history. Medea is an elderly, loud, no-nonsense grandma who doesn't care what anyone thinks. Tyler, being a tall, big guy, had to completely change himself to look like this sassy old lady. First, he would sit in the makeup chair for hours as they put on a fat suit, padded hips, and layers of prosthetic skin to give him Medea's chubby cheeks and wrinkly face. Then came the gray wig, glasses, and floral dresses that made Medea instantly recognizable. But the real magic wasn't just the look, it was how Tyler acted. He changed his voice to sound like a grumpy old woman and used exaggerated body movements, like shaking her head or wagging her finger when she was angry. He even added Medea's signature and sassy comebacks that made her feel like a real person. 10. Don Cheadle.
How do you think these people operate? You sit here with 5 stars on your chest. Who do you think they are coming after?
Don Cheadle's role in Hotel Rwanda is one of the most powerful performances ever. He played Paul Rusesabagina, a hotel manager who saved over 1,200 people during the Rwandan genocide. To look like Paul, Don lost weight to match his slim figure and had to wear simple suits and uniforms that made him blend in as a regular guy. But it wasn't about fancy makeup or costumes. The real transformation was in Don's emotions. He had to show a man who was terrified inside, but had to stay calm on the outside to protect his family and refugees hiding in his hotel. Don practiced a soft-spoken, polite voice because Paul had to negotiate with dangerous soldiers while hiding his fear. Don also spent a lot of time studying Paul's accent and the Rwandan culture to make his performance respectful and accurate. You can see in every scene how much pressure Paul was under, but Don showed it with small things, like nervous smiles, shaky hands, or a quiet sigh when no one was watching. 11th, Mahershala Ali.
What do we do about the bones? We do this.
Mahershala Ali completely transformed himself to play Dr. Don Shirley in Green Book. Dr. Shirley was a world-famous pianist who had a very calm, royal kind of personality. Mahershala had to make sure he captured every little detail about how Dr. Shirley sat, talked, and played the piano. First, Mahershala spent a lot of time learning to sit up super straight. Dr. Shirley had a very tall, proud posture, almost like he was floating when he moved. Mahershala practiced walking slowly and sitting perfectly upright, even when he was just sitting in a car. He wanted to show that Dr. Shirley always carried himself with class, no matter where he was. He also changed his voice completely. Dr. Shirley spoke very slowly, with a soft and elegant tone. Mahershala trained his voice to be calm and deep, with perfect pronunciation. It wasn't easy because he had to talk like that, even in emotional or funny scenes, without breaking character. Even though Mahershala didn't play piano professionally, he worked hard to mimic Dr. Shirley's finger movements. He learned where to place his hands and practiced playing the keys so that, on camera, it looked real. 12th, Regina King.
The bad guys, they knew who I was, and they knew where I lived, and they came to my house, and they shot me right here.
Regina King was a total badass in Watchmen, playing Sister Night, a masked vigilante. But getting into this role wasn't just about putting on a cool costume. Regina had to go through months of physical training to prepare for all the action scenes. She did intense workouts, including fight training, to make her punches, kicks, and stunts look realistic. Sister Night is always ready to fight, so Regina had to build up muscle and stamina. She also had to wear heavy vigilante gear, like leather suits, masks, and boots, which made the action scenes even tougher to shoot. But it wasn't just about the physical part. Regina had to balance Sister Night's tough exterior with her emotional side. Under the mask, her character is a mother, a wife, and a person with deep trauma. Regina had to show all of that while still acting like a fearless superhero. 13. Will Smith.
You want to check on the kids? Let's check on the kids. We got future doctors and lawyers, plus a couple tennis stars.
Will Smith is known for playing cool, charming characters, but in King Richard, he had to become someone very different. He played Richard Williams, the father of tennis legends Venus and Serena Williams. To transform into Richard, Will wore prosthetic teeth that made his smile look exactly like Richard's. These teeth also changed the way Will spoke, making his voice sound more like Richard's slow and deliberate tone. He also adopted Richard's unique walk and posture. Richard has a very casual, laid-back way of walking, but at the same time, he's always thinking and planning. Will studied videos of Richard for hours to copy his hand gestures, head movements, and even his small habits, like how he rubbed his chin when he was serious. Will also had to master Richard's thick Southern accent. He practiced until every sentence sounded natural, without overdoing it. His body language was completely different too. Will slowed down his movements to show Richard's calm but determined attitude. 14. Angela Bassett.
I'll give up all that other stuff, but only if I get to keep my name. I worked too hard for it.
Angela Bassett's transformation into Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It is still one of the most iconic performances ever. Tina Turner is known for her powerful voice, high-energy dancing, and strong presence. Angela had to match all of that, and it wasn't easy. She trained like crazy to get Tina's super-toned body. Angela did intense workouts and practiced non-stop until her arms, legs, and even her back looked just like Tina's. But it wasn't just about muscles. Angela had to learn all of Tina Turner's dance routines. Tina's dance moves are wild and full of energy, so Angela worked with choreographers for hours every day to get every spin, hip shake, and strut perfect. Angela also wore big, wild wigs, bold makeup, and flashy stage costumes to bring Tina's look to life. But what really made her transformation special was how she acted through all of it. She didn't just copy Tina's moves, she captured Tina's emotions, strength, and the pain she went through in her life. 15. Whoopi Goldberg.
I'm proud of you, Oda Mae.
You know something, Sam? I don't care if you're proud of me. You stay away from me from now on. What is that not gonna do it? She can't even buy underwear, nothing. I hate you. Leave me alone. Never talk to me again.
Whoopi Goldberg gave a heartbreaking performance as Celie in The Color Purple. In real life, Whoopi is funny and full of energy, but for this role, she completely changed herself. She wore no makeup and dressed in simple, worn-out clothes to look like a poor black woman living in the early 1900s. Celie is a character who goes through a lot of pain. She's abused, ignored, and treated like she's invisible. Whoopi had to show all that sadness in a very quiet way. She acted with her eyes, her posture, and her soft voice. Most of her performance is her being silent, but you can feel everything she's feeling just by the way she looks at people or lowers her head. Her transformation was so deep that people forgot they were watching a comedian. She made Celie feel real, like someone you want to hug and protect. By the end of the movie, when Celie finally stands up for herself, Whoopi's transformation into a strong, confident woman is so powerful that it gives you goosebumps. 16. Wesley Snipes.
Freeze! Fuck, are you out of your damn mind?
Wesley Snipes became the ultimate vampire hunter in Blade, and his transformation was insane. Blade is a half-vampire, half-human who wears all black leather, sunglasses, and carries swords and guns. Wesley had to look like a superhero who could destroy a room full of vampires without breaking a sweat. First, Wesley got into incredible shape. He trained in martial arts, sword fighting, and did heavy weightlifting to build a powerful, muscular body. Every fight scene looks real because Wesley did most of his own stunts. His kicks, flips, and sword swings were so smooth that you believe Blade is a real vampire hunter. But it wasn't just the fighting. Wesley made Blade a silent, intimidating character. He barely talks in the movie, but his facial expressions and body language are enough to scare enemies. He walks with confidence, keeps a straight face, and looks like he's always in control, even when surrounded by danger. Wesley also made Blade cool. The way he pulled out his sword, put on his shades, or smirked after killing a vampire made Blade feel like a superhero mixed with a ninja. All right, Blade was badass, but now we're about to see an actress who went through mud, swamps, and pure exhaustion to play a real-life hero. This transformation is next-level dedication. 17. Cynthia Erivo.
My name is Araminta Ross Tubman. Folk call me Minty. I come from Dorchester County.
Cynthia Erivo's transformation into Harriet Tubman in Harriet was super intense. Harriet Tubman is a real-life hero who escaped slavery and led hundreds of people to freedom. Cynthia knew she had to give her everything to make this role feel real. First, she slimmed down a lot because Harriet was small but strong, always running and hiding. Cynthia had to look like someone who could survive in the wild. She did a lot of outdoor filming in rough weather. Cynthia had to crawl through muddy swamps, run through forests, and even cross rivers, all while carrying heavy costumes. She didn't use body doubles for these scenes. She wanted to feel the same exhaustion and fear Harriet must have felt. Cynthia also had to show Harriet's strong faith and determination. Harriet wasn't a loud or flashy person. She was quiet but powerful. Cynthia used her eyes and soft voice to show Harriet's inner strength. Even in scenes where she didn't say much, you could feel her courage. 18. Daniel Kaluuya.
Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois Black Panther Party.
Daniel Kaluuya completely changed himself to play Fred Hampton in Judas and the Black Messiah. Fred Hampton was a powerful speaker and leader of the Black Panther Party, known for his deep voice and intense speeches. Daniel had to gain weight to match Fred's strong build. He wanted to look like a leader who could command a room just by standing up. But the real challenge was the voice. Fred Hampton had a very deep, booming voice that filled up space. Daniel worked with voice coaches to lower his natural tone and practiced Fred's unique way of speaking. He even studied how Fred paused between words and the rhythm of his speeches. Daniel also learned how to move like Fred. He adopted his confident walk and bold hand gestures, making him look like a man with a mission. His transformation wasn't about makeup or costumes, it was all in how he carried himself. 19, Queen Latifah.
And take that damn gum out your mouth. Don't nobody want to see you up there chewing like a cow.
Where do I put it?
Hold it in your damn hand, Hattiesburg.
Queen Latifah took a huge leap when she played blues singer Bessie Smith in Bessie. Usually we see Queen Latifah in glamorous or funny roles, but for this movie, she went raw and unfiltered. Bessie Smith was known for her bold personality and rough around the edges charm, and Queen Latifah had to bring all of that to life. First, she wore period-accurate makeup that made her look like a woman from the 1920s. This wasn't the usual movie star makeup. She had to look sweaty, tired, and sometimes even a little messy to show how tough Bessie's life was. The costumes were also heavy and bold, with flashy hats, big fur coats, and sparkly dresses that made her stand out. But the real transformation was in her acting. Queen Latifah had to show Bessie's wild side, someone who didn't care what people thought and lived life on her own terms. She also had to show Bessie's pain from facing racism to struggling with personal relationships. 20, Samuel L. Jackson.
Them motherfuckers ain't here to buy no mandingos. They wants that girl.
Samuel L. Jackson is usually the coolest guy in any movie, but in Django Unchained, he did a total 180. He played Stephen, an old sneaky house slave who is super loyal to his cruel white master. Samuel had to age up a lot for this role. They used prosthetics to give him wrinkles, gray hair, and even a hunched back. He looked like an old man who'd been living on a plantation his whole life. But the real transformation wasn't just the makeup. Samuel changed the way he talked, walked, and even how he stood. He gave Stephen a slow, lazy shuffle and spoke in a high-pitched, shaky voice that sounded completely different from Samuel's usual deep, powerful tone. The scariest part of his transformation was how Samuel made Stephen both funny and terrifying. He acted like a harmless old man in front of guests, but when nobody was looking, he became sly and evil, whispering in his master's ear and betraying other slaves. 21. John Boyega.
Oh, everything is fine. No trouble here. I'll sleep when they stop riding. Hey, fellas, I'm going to that grocery store across the street.
John Boyega, who most people know from Star Wars, did a very different kind of role in Detroit. He played Melvin Dismukes, a quiet, hard-working security guard caught in the middle of the violent 1967 Detroit riots. For this role, John had to slim down and wear a simple uniform to blend in with the regular people. But the real change was in his personality. John is usually very energetic and charismatic, but here he had to be calm, soft-spoken, and almost invisible. His character is stuck in a tough position, trying to keep peace between angry police and terrified civilians. John practiced using subtle expressions, like looking down when people talked to him or fidgeting nervously with his hands. He had to show that his character was scared, but still trying to do the right thing. It wasn't a loud or flashy performance, it was quiet and powerful. 22nd. Octavia Spencer.
Hey, I was just thinking, why wait for the weekend? It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Octavia Spencer shocked everyone when she played the creepy villain in Ma. Normally, Octavia plays sweet or funny characters, but in this movie, she became Sue Ann, a lonely woman who turns into a dangerous stalker. Her transformation wasn't about crazy makeup or wild costumes, it was all in her acting. Octavia used small, subtle things to make Ma feel terrifying. She would smile a little too long, stare without blinking, or suddenly change her tone from friendly to creepy in a split second. Those little details made her character super unsettling. Octavia also changed the way she moved. She walked slowly, like she was always planning something, and when she got angry, her whole body would tense up. It was scary because she looked like a normal person, but her actions made you feel like something was very wrong. 23rd, Idris Elba.
We will fight for our freedom. If they want a war, we will give them a war.
Idris Elba had the huge task of playing Nelson Mandela in Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Mandela is one of the most respected leaders in the world, so Idris knew he had to get every little detail right. First, he wore prosthetics to make his face look older and to match Mandela's facial features. But the real challenge was copying Mandela's soft, deep voice and his slow, thoughtful way of speaking. Idris spent months listening to Mandela's speeches, practicing the accent, and studying how he paused between words. He didn't want to sound like a person doing an impression. He wanted people to feel like they were listening to Mandela himself. Another thing Idris worked on was Mandela's walk. Mandela had a unique, calm way of walking that showed dignity and strength, even when he was in prison. Idris practiced this over and over, making sure his posture and movements matched Mandela's. This wasn't an action-packed role, but it was very physical in a different way. Idris had to show Mandela's pain, patience, and determination through small expressions and gestures. His transformation was so real that people could feel Mandela's spirit through him. 24. Djimon Hounsou.
Please instruct the defendant that he cannot disrupt these proceedings with such
Give us free!
Djimon Hounsou gave a powerful performance in Amistad, playing Sengbe Pie, a man who was kidnapped from Africa and forced into slavery. To prepare for this role, Djimon lost a lot of weight to look like someone who had been starved and abused on a slave ship. His body looked tired, thin, and worn out, just like it would have been in real life. But the real transformation came from the physical scenes. Djimon filmed many grueling sequences where he was chained, beaten, and trapped in tiny ship cabins. He had to crawl, scream, and fight back, all while staying in character as someone who barely spoke English but had a strong spirit. Djimon also used his eyes and body language to show Sengbe's emotions, his fear, anger, and determination to survive. Even without speaking much, you could feel everything he was going through. It wasn't about fancy makeup or costumes. It was about raw, physical acting. His transformation in Amistad made people feel like they were watching real history unfold. Djimon's performance was heartbreaking and powerful, and it showed how much he put himself into the role. 25th, Janelle Monáe.
Wherever you came from before here, you need to forget about it.
Janelle Monáe took on a super challenging role in Antebellum, where she had to play two very different versions of the same character. In modern times, she's Veronica, a successful author and activist. But after being kidnapped, she's forced into a slavery-era nightmare where she becomes Eden, a silent, oppressed woman trying to escape. For this role, Janelle had to physically transform herself to fit both worlds. In the modern scenes, she was confident, strong, and elegant. But when playing Eden, she had to strip all of that away. She wore simple, dirty clothes, minimal makeup, and used her body to show exhaustion and fear. Janelle had to film intense outdoor scenes where she was running barefoot, crawling through dirt, and physically fighting to survive. She also had to show a lot of emotion through her eyes because Eden wasn't allowed to speak freely. Her transformation was all about body language. The way she hunched her shoulders, avoided eye contact, and moved slowly made you feel her pain. Then, when she slowly regains her power, you can see it in how she stands up taller and her eyes get fiercer. Which transformation shocked you the most? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.